one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Hello there, it's another beautiful day here on Razep Africa show, where we give you everything you need to know across Africa, keeping you abreast with information that's important so that you can make informed decisions, especially as we are all trying to get you knowledge about Africa, to love Africa. Well, we begin with the news, the African news update, and we would start in Nigeria, where unfortunately at least 37 miners have died from suspected carbon monoxide poisoning at an abandoned mining site in Plateau State. The incident occurred in Kambani community in Wasi, where villagers reportedly entered a disused lead mining pit to extract leftover minerals, unaware of toxic gas emissions. Another 25 miners were rushed to hospitals, while authorities fear the death toll could rise. Security forces have since sealed off the area to prevent further access. Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, said the site was prone to releasing dangerous gases and ordered the immediate shutdown of all mining activities under the affected license. Most mining operations in the country are informal and lack basic safety measures, raising renewed concerns about regulations and worker protection in the sector. Meanwhile, in Kenya, the government has announced it will begin rolling out a breakthrough HIV prevention drug, lenacapavir, in March. The drug, which offers over 99.9% protection against HIV transmission with just 2 injections a year, is being introduced across 15 counties in the first phase. Kenya has received 21,000 doses through the Global Fund partnership, with additional supplies expected in April. The rollout comes as African nations adjust to shifting U.S. foreign aid priorities. Kenya, which has a 3.7% HIV prevalence rate, recently signed a $2.5 billion health agreement with Washington. Eastern and Southern Africa remain epicenter of the global HIV burden, accounting for more than half of people living with the virus worldwide. Turning to Guinea-Bissau, authorities have halted a hepatitis B vaccine study funded by the Trump administration following ethical concerns raised by global health bodies. The trial had proposed giving only half of newborns the life-saving vaccines at birth, sparking criticism from scientists and World Health Organization, which describes the approach as unethical. Foreign Minister João Bernardo Vieira confirmed the study was now being permanently closed, citing objections from both the international scientific community and U.S. lawmakers. Guinea-Bissau has one of the West Africa's highest hepatitis B rates, and experts have warned that delaying vaccination at birth significantly increases the risk of chronic infection and early death. And in Gabon, social media platforms have been suspended until further notice. According to the country's media regulator, defamatory and hateful content, as well as the spread of false information and cyberbullying, are threatening social stability and undermining democratic institutions. The regulator did not specify which platforms are affected, but maintained that freedom of expression remains protected under Gabonese law. The suspension comes amid mounting social unrest under President Brice Oligui Nguema, who is facing teacher strike and protests across several public sectors, including health and broadcasting. Critics have said that the move could further inflame tensions as the government seeks to contain growing dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, in West Africa's cocoa belt, Ivory Coast is considering cutting the price it pays cocoa farmers to align with neighboring Ghana as global prices continue to fall sharply. Ghana has already reduced its farm gate price from nearly 29% to the remainder of the 2025-2026 season as both countries grapple with oversupply and weakening demand. Together, Ivory Coast and Ghana produce about 60% of the world's cocoa, and officials say they have been coordinating closely through the Ivory Coast-Ghana Cocoa Initiative. Any further price reduction could have significant implications for farmers' income and rural economies already under strain. Moving on now to South Sudan, thousands of displaced civilians say they are facing severe hunger as renewed fighting escalates in Jonglei State. The United Nations estimated that around 280,000 people have been displaced since December, with more than half of them children. In formal camps along the White Nile, families report there is no food assistance, forcing them to survive on wild fruit and water plants. Hospitals in affected areas are overwhelmed with limited supplies and growing numbers of gunshot victims. The fragile 2018 peace agreement between President Salva Kiir and Vice President Riek Machar has steadily unraveled, raising fears of a deeper humanitarian crisis in the world's youngest nation. And finally, in Somalia, the government says it has made significant gains in its fight against the militant group Al-Shabaab, reclaiming key territories in Lower Shabelle that had reportedly served as strongholds for nearly 2 decades. Officials say the Somalian National Army has taken control of areas previously used by groups for operations and extortions. Analysts attribute the progress partly to US-backed airstrikes, which they say have destroyed weapons, depots, and supply routes. The development comes as African Union peacekeeping forces gradually draw down, with Somalia assuming greater responsibility in its own security. That's it for African News Updates today. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we would have a conversation on the contributions of young people across Africa when it comes to ensuring free, fair, and credible elections. We'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Welcome back from that short break. Now it's time to discuss how important it is for young people to contribute to the free, fair, and credible elections across Africa. We're turning the spotlight on a powerful force that continues to shape our democracies across Africa. The youth, with the young people making up the significant percentage of course, the Africa's population. Their role in strengthening free, fair, and credible elections cannot, of course, be ignored. From voter education and digital advocacy to election monitoring and grassroots mobilization, young Africans are no longer just participants. They are becoming key drivers of electoral integrity and democratic accountability. But how prepared are our young people and youth? Are they empowered enough to influence electoral transparency? And are they placed in proper channels to channel their energy rather into meaningful democratic impact? To help us unpack this very critical conversation, I'm joined by Honorable Dan Obo, Special Advisor on Youth Mobilization to the Crossroads State Governor. He works closely with young people at the policy and grassroots level, of course, and brings first-hand insight into youth engagement, political participation, and democratic development. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you for having me, Doctor. Happy to see you again after a long while.
It's been too long. I agree with you.
It's always nice having you here. That's why I get scared of telling you when I'm in Abuja.
And that is why, you know, if I just here have a whiff of it, I bring you right to the studio. But it's wonderful to have you here.
Same here.
You have been part of elections, not just national elections, but youth elections where you emerge in several positions in the Nigerian Youth Organization and several other organizations as well. But I would like you to just start with how important is it for political awareness? Because if you are not aware of what your role as a citizen is, how can you then influence others? How politically aware are Nigerian youth and the African youth when we go across board?
Yes, you know, when you talk about how, you know, the level of consciousness of the average Nigerian youth at the moment, as regards both leadership, government programs and projects, as regards the issue of power, it's getting very wild. Young people are already getting this serious awareness that, look, the future is now. Look, we must get involved. Look, we make about 65 to 70% of the vote. And now we're headed for direct primary. So any young man who is not involved, then it's an issue of innate character. I mean, the president has opened the window for young people to take leadership place, right? For young people to get involved. But, you know, the courage to come out is another courage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, but I believe that as we make progress to 2027, I mean, young people are going to seriously get involved. In our state, like Cross River, young people are involved in their numbers. Yeah, in their numbers. And even in my own personal senatorial district, young people are deliberately involved in their numbers. So certainly, yeah, certainly, as we go back now, is to get ourselves involved, get us to register more in the APC, see how we can get our candidate fly. And of course, young people will be involved, God willing.
Right. What do you think often impedes? Because sometimes it seems like we have young people vibrant on social media, commenting, engaging, abusing sometimes. But when it comes to physical appearance, we don't see that effort to actually
physical appearance, how do you mean?
When it comes, of course, you have to vote physically. That's what I mean. We don't see that effort in voting, in coming out to vote. We record apathy, especially during the just concluded general elections, where we saw a vibrant engagement, virtual online engagement, but it did not reflect in voting.
Yes, you know, if you talk about reflecting in voting, it's about the level of confidence that people have on the INEC.
Right.
You get what I mean?
So it's trust.
Yeah, it's an issue of trust. You know, now because if you believe that your vote will count, certainly you go ahead to vote. But you know, with the new electoral law being signed, one of the major crises we have is how to get the party's flag.
Right.
It's very difficult, very expensive. So now the president is saying that for you to go into primaries, it's direct. So if you're a young man, you're starting elections for direct primaries, where 65% of the young people there are young people, you're not expected to fail.
Absolutely.
Is it not so?
Absolutely.
Now, but the courage to come out and say you want to ask for this election, do the young people that you want to lead also have confidence in you? Now, you talk about impediment, it's just resources. That's just the impediment some young people will have. But you know, we are beginning to understand that there's need for collabo. You find a young man that has been privileged, you take your support and give to the young man. Together, you look for different opportunities to serve your people and liberate your people.
But let's talk about this trust that often makes them say, you know what, there's no point voting. I mean, I've sampled opinions out there, and it's very concerning that they would say, oh, of course, Tinubu knows he would come back as president. The governor knows he will come back as president, as governor. There's no point voting because it would not be reflected. The votes will not reflect. And that's a very concerning trend in our democratic journey. How do you think we could change this? Is there effort, considering the recent protest for the real-time transmission of results and the subsequent signing by the swift signing by the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria of that same act that a lot of people protested against?
You know, you see, when you talk about the issue of trust, you know, the electoral act that the president has signed into law between you and I is better than the one that we used in 2023. Is it not so? There are some few issues that were raised there that are issues that were not found even in the law. So, however you look at it, Nigerians are beginning to trust the process. Where the issues is now, according to Nigeria, they should know anything outside electronic transfer should not be recorded. That's what Nigerians are saying. But between you and I, doctor, you know, fine, last election, this was how you did recording. You can't completely throw away that. Because you might retire back for those who don't have the knowledge. When you make, as you get into the next election, it's possible that you can swap. But for me, I feel that the president has created a leeway for young people to get in.
I mean, during the last elections, and I was hoping that by now, digitally speaking, we should have improved. INEC had made it open that, but INEC is the Nigerian electoral body that ensures the running of our elections for those watching across Africa. So the Independent National Electoral Commission of Nigeria had made it obvious that only 7% of communities and the populace had no access to internet, to such a to that level where you cannot transmit. And if it is 7%, why are we not channeling our energies into ensuring that there are infrastructures and everything necessary to open up the drag nets? Get 100%, it's just 7%. Can't we look into infrastructures that will enable this real-time transmission, especially to enable this trust that you just mentioned?
Between you and I, Doctor, we are on for elections.
Absolutely.
Right? First, if you look at the local government autonomy, this government has been deliberate about the wishes of the people. Very deliberate, honestly speaking. In whatever indices you look at it. Now, some
will say deliberate to ensure rigging and manipulation.
No, that's not the point. Look, let me tell you, Doctor, you can't rig with the minority. You cannot.
And this administration is not minority.
So whatever victory you get, it could be tag rigging. That's the point.
Okay. So if that be the case, why not give people what they want and assure them of real-time transmission? Because they are telling you we're afraid you want to hijack the process.
If you finish elections by 1:30 and you transmit your result, is that real-time?
If you finish elections
if the electorate finish voting at about 1:30 p.m.
and then
you finish, you score, and then the party agents go ahead to sign, and then you transmit. Is that real time?
Well, you could say
Doctor,
it is real time considering when you finish, because that's what the law says. As immediately,
real time is about when you finish.
Okay.
Whenever you finish, that's the real time. In fact, when they stop voting, it's not the real time.
Right.
When you finish the application, that period you want to send is the real time.
Right. But my question, I even fault the fact that we are discussing collating manually first before that transmission is done.
You get what I mean?
Is it out of this world? I keep referring us back to the financial institutions, for instance. If you make a withdrawal, if there is such a platform or server that gives you a real-time transmission of your account, your bank account and statement, if you make a withdrawal from any part of the world, it reflects real time. Is it out of this world? Is it something that we cannot achieve in Nigeria to have that kind of real-time transmission and technological innovation where as they vote, you are seeing it?
Yes, and they can increase your vote in the process.
How can you increase it? Because
it happens in other countries. It happens in the US. It was hacked.
Allegedly, it was hacked. And no, we do. I for one.
So, as much as you want the right thing to be done, also consider the disadvantages. Also consider the people.
What's the disadvantage here? What are you afraid of? Cyber attacks?
Of course.
Or manipulation?
Of course.
From whom?
If you can hack people's life, how can they hack that? Can they hack that?
Of course. I mean, we also read during the just complete elections that INEC said they had over 12,000. They foiled rather over 12,000 attacks. Is to be expected from any elections around the world.
That is the point.
So why can't we rather be formidable?
Is Nigeria ready enough to resist that?
Why not? We have innovative young tech experts making us proud across the world. Why can't our elections, why do we relegate ourselves and tell ourselves, oh no, when it comes here, we are not ready enough, we are not capable enough, but we are championing tech activities across the globe? See,
let me tell you, Doctor, the reality is that as of today, Nigeria can only be rescued in the hands of Asiwaju. That's the truth.
Okay, that's of course your opinion.
No, it's for real. It's for real. There are some decisions you take, it trickles down.
Right.
The decisions this government is deliberate about taking are decisions that will trickle down. Every decision this government takes, it trickles down. But the challenge is the implementation at the grassroots. So government also needs to devise means in such a manner that sincerely right? Sincerely, these people are domesticated, and whatever government is bringing to the people, even if you give it to somebody to share, who will steal it? The person should be in the village stealing it.
I'm hoping there's no stealing at all, by the way.
No, it's not possible that there won't be. Even in the Bible, there was.
Absolutely, but if we have mechanisms...
Society is not a good society free of crime. It's the ability to control.
Right, let's control it to such a manner.
It doesn't stop crime.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But the fact that you are so comfortable admitting there would be crime, and that's where it takes us to. Okay. Yes, let us build trust. And Nigerians are asking, a lot of Nigerians are asking for the real-time transmission. Why is the president not assuring the Nigerian populace, the Nigerian constituents that are asking for the real-time transmission, that I would build infrastructure to enable the real-time transmission within the year? Because again, 7% is not significant enough for this country to say we cannot achieve.
Dr. C, let me tell you, every agency of government has its own value to INEC succeeding.
Right, I agree with you.
Good. Now, it is not only the president's signature that should make INEC succeed. When you talk about internet broadband, you shouldn't be talking about the presidency. What is the Nigerian Communication Agency doing? They're supposed to give us that.
Leadership direction would ensure that it happens.
Of course, the president spoke about it. So before now, it was not there. How old is this government? So, sometimes you see some decisions government takes, you begin to ask yourself.
Right.
These other guys that have been in government, what have they been doing? If somebody had told a few guys who are challenging the e-transfer result now, that when they were in position, if they knew they would have implemented it, they had the opportunity to do so. It's not today we started talking about internet voting. It's not today. So, when these ones come on board, they won't do it. When they leave this other way, they ask that it should be done.
Unfortunately, we all see the selfishness in all of that, where you want what benefits yourself in that regard. So with this and other flaws that often characterizes our electoral process, what would you say INEC should further do, especially as the FCT is having its we have an off-cycle area council elections coming up in a couple of days. What can INEC do to improve that trust? If you ask yourself a simple question, very pertinent. You find a professor of a university, right, as a returning officer for an elections, and you find that professor rigging for an SSC holder, right? So now sometimes you could discover that those who actually rig elections are the university lecturers. It's not even the INEC. Right.
Those who mutilate results are the university lecturers. Because they are the ones that are deployed, that are believed to have more experience in that, in terms of that process. So, but if this kind of people insist, like the woman who did in Abia insisted, right? I'm sure the development Abia is enjoying today, they wouldn't have been there.
They will not be enjoying
because the man is answerable to the people.
Exactly. Because
that mandate was very clear that it was a mandate of the people. That when in the hands of someone, you can't steal it from, irrespective of the level of inducement, both power and resources. Now, if we find people like that, we will give up for the good of our country. Are you sure gradually will? So it's not really about just INEC.
Yeah.
Even those INEC employ to do this job in the next 1 week, in the next 2 weeks, are even more critical than INEC. Because you can't bring results as a returning officer at the vice chancellor of a university, and you see the INEC chairman should not announce.
But what can we put in place so that it's not in the human hands per se?
Even if it's not in the human hands, the computer itself will be controlled by humans.
It is?
Of course it will. It's not a robot.
It is a robot, actually. It's literally a robot. But I believe that the manipulations when you infuse technology is less. It's not as much as.
But there is manipulation.
Of course, you can manipulate. It's garbage in, garbage out.
So
I agree with you.
Everybody's scared of manipulation at different level.
Right. So what you are scared? What young people? What can young people do? Because at the end of the day, everybody has personal leanings that endear you to a certain candidate.
Yes.
So unfortunately, people will still have to manage these systems that we want to trust. What's your idea to give young people confidence to say, this is our country, let's be patriotic, come out and vote your conscience, and don't be afraid of manipulations. Because go out to the street and just be in a bus. Somebody said if you want to start a conversation in a bus, just sit there and say, "Chai, this INEC." And the entire trip, everybody would be rife with conversations until you arrive. But what can we do? Because it is becoming very, very concerning.
Yes, the reality is that it is our duty to stop it as young people.
Absolutely.
I feel pain when I hear this one was president at 32, this one was this at 33, and they proudly say it. Yeah, proudly they say even when they have refused to leave the stage deliberately, right? When they start where they made us understand that power is wrestled. You get what I mean? So we didn't know that. We thought it was given out of competence,
absolutely,
leadership experience, and all of that. But you see, in terms of young people, like I said earlier. First is that you cannot rig an election from the minority end. You cannot. For you to sit in a polling unit and think of rigging an election, the meaning is that you have won, but maybe you just want to increase the number. But if it's about you being of minority and daring to rig, even if you have the police, you have the returning officers,
right,
you can't do it. So first is that the man who you think that wants to rig you out is already more popular than you are.
True.
You get what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, for young people, we make this population. We make this population. So if we make this population, and we're being told that, look, for you to get the party flag, you must stand, and party members will stand by you. It's for us now as young people to motivate ourselves, to get ourselves involved in a particular party.
Right.
Which we're doing, sensitization. Which we're doing. Now, when we get into the party, we're going to throw up young people who are competent. Young people who will go and make us proud.
Absolutely.
Young people who will go and their voices are heard. Young people who will go and the dividends trickle down. So we begin to search for these young people amongst us because we are all there. We are all there, and God willing, we will have our way. For the voting, let me tell you, there is no polling unit that has more young people, that has elderly people than the young people.
Absolutely. Africa obviously has.
So we will take the pain. We will take the pain to be conscious of what happens in every polling unit, and make sure there is a young man who believes in the future, who believes that it is our turn also now to be able to manage each of those polling. Those data are ongoing. So a lot will be done between this period and then. But you can do the right thing at the wrong time. They do the wrong thing.
Fail, right.
So for me,
but are there mechanisms? Are there mechanisms beyond your observing and ensuring that? I'm not sure what ensuring is, because when we advocate for safe elections in Nigeria, bearing in mind how often volatile it gets, security-wise, we also are very conscious to say at what point is the proper observation and ensuring the right thing is done. You are a youth leader, and you hold a responsibility in your state as well. So a lot of people look up to you. And for those watching you now, during an election, what do you expect young people who supposedly have good intentions? That again is relatable because everybody claims they have good intentions. But for the nation, right? How do you ensure that they safely observe, take it up with the law if there are in fraudulent activities, without making it a volatile situation? It becomes a conflict-ridden situation. How can it be safely done?
First is that you see, every foundation, anything you want to do, the foundation matters. What is the foundation of our democracy? Power is wrestle. So there's nothing wrong in fighting. Absolutely nothing wrong. Power is wrestle. Someone cannot hold power and you want to take it, he gives it to you like a la carte.
Nobody does that. Especially in African communities, in society.
So somebody can also not sit down and say, I'm too old to sit in this position, come and take. You can't find that.
Right.
You get what I mean? So you hear somebody say, leave the stage for the young people. Say, no, power is wrestle. The young people should come and contest. It is a contest. So how else do you want them to explain to you? So that's the most reason why I'm saying that as young people, right? Those of us who think that we're a bit knowledgeable than others, for whatever reason and privileges we've gotten, right? We should be able to continually to conscientize our young people that, look, no matter how bad I will be, right? I am of your generation, you can assess me.
True. You
can even call me an idiot on the road, face to face, even as but because we are of the same generation, it will end in a laughter.
Okay.
Right. So
solidarity among young people.
That is the focus. That is where we are headed. That is where we are, and trust me, we will get it right.
But in spite of the need for solidarity, when it comes to elections where everybody has their opinions and their leanings, how do you ensure there is peace while there is this solidarity, so that you understand that I believe in my person just as much as you believe in your person. You have your reasons, I have my reasons. We don't need to fight. We don't need to be to scheme like we often see. We see a campaign of calumny, very concerning. But how can we get to that point so that we don't think of elections and some of us shudder as to the kind of things to expect?
You know, a lot of things now characterize our politics.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, a lot of things now characterize our politics. And for me, I feel that it is also our responsibility to clear that up, right? And secondly, there will be crisis if you try to read the opinion of the young people out. There will be crisis. There's no two ways about it. So the only way you also need to help us is to be sure that let the will and the opinions of the young people, whatever it is. See, I was telling somebody yesterday, if you stand here and there's a queue, and you discover that the other person's queue is longer than your own, and they say you're not the one that won that election, you will go home happy. You can't go home angry.
Because it's obvious.
It is obvious. It is obvious. So what did you do at that point? You collaborate to be able to bring development to your people, if actually your intentions was to say. Right now, so if we do that, and at the end of the day, young people have their way, you want to go and change the result, there will be crisis. But as young people, I can assure you that even the issues of electoral violence is beginning to go down. It's not at the level it was. Because we are beginning to understand that, look, even the leaders themselves, some are beginning to groom their children to take over from them. It's not getting clear.
It's getting clear. And that's the question.
Right?
While
you're still serving them, they have not settled you. They are bringing up their kids.
Exactly.
So
and these are children who are internationally trained, while you were running around with ballot boxes and mobilizing against the will of the people and all of that. Okay, so now that we've discussed to an extent the electoral umpire and the trust deficit that often causes this issues with participating in governance, do you think there's been efforts, young people even understand what it entails to get into politics beyond following one leader or the other? Do you think they understand that structure you need to build, connecting with your grassroots, connecting with your constituents? Have they learned all the wrong lessons from the older generation politicians, or they understand what it takes? Because what I often see in election process, electioneering and campaign, is that you wake up one morning and you go to the media to say, you know what, I'm tired of this government, I want this senator out, and I want to go for elections. And people are now wondering, whose father is this? Who is his father? Who is this person? What has he done so far? And then when he loses, again we go to court. So do we understand the process, the proper process of electioneering?
You know, 80% plus of those who stand in election don't believe that they fail.
80 is being too kind.
So everybody believes that every result announced against he or she, it was mutilated. Right? So now, first you can see the mindset of everybody, each and every one of us who is in this country, who wants to go for election. In fact, even if you go for election in the church, you will have some, as a Nigerian, you will believe that you were rigged. Right? And then if you see somebody campaigning against you, saying, no, don't support doctor, support Dan, or don't support Dan, support doctor, you get angry. No, the person is expressing his opinion.
Absolutely.
So you can see how a lot of few things have been able to eat into our minds as regards our democracy.
True.
But you know, going forward, INEC as an institution, right, need to devise means to end the trust of Nigerians. Because anything short of that, there will be serious crisis. Now, the first thing the president has done is that, look, if you say there's no network, we have won. And you say you can't transmit the result because there's no network, are you sure there will not be crisis?
mean, in that instance, because when we say there's no network,
there will be
in that instance, you
so
see that
it's
not.
You use the alternative means,
right. But in that instance, what I'm just trying to lay there is that it's a different thing when you say, "Listen, guys, I'm trying to transmit. I don't have internet. I'm hoping that internet comes." That's a different issue altogether. But to put a clause that excuses and gives INEC the prerogative to pick or not pick when to transmit electoral results gives electorate the feeling that you're buying time for manipulation.
No. See, that issue of manipulation is mindset. I had asked you a question here. I said, look, can you manipulate elections from the minority? The answer is no.
Again, that also leaves a lot of questions, because a lot of people will say
you cannot.
The APC, for instance, may have governors, political and public office holders as members, but do they have the masses? Is another question to respond to.
Let me tell you.
The APC have, because when you keep saying minority.
No, let me tell you, every governor, right? Let me give you an instance in my state. Right, every state constituency has a special advisor, at least.
Absolutely.
Every council ward, the governor has been able to put in a leadership in terms of power and government opportunities in each council ward. Right. It has trickled down to polling where councillors are beginning to be interested in terms of standing by His Excellency the Governor. Right. You cannot tell me that the masses are not with the governor. In this contemporary society where he who pays the piper dictates the tune.
Unfortunately.
You cannot tell me that. The governor is entitled to every local government has a commissioner.
Right.
Every local government, we're running the autonomy in Cross River where we have the local government system working. The local government system is working. The councillors forum is working. Too many things are working in the state. So you come and tell me that there's someone else that is more popular than a governor with this kind of foot soldiers.
And yet, even with the popularity of PDP, we've recorded it and witnessed where the PDP lost elections. And
I have continued to tell you that election was lost, as a result of greed.
The elections that was lost to Buhari.
Of course, it wasn't. For me, I feel that at that point the North should take over the power. That's what I feel. Let's be realistic in whatever way.
Okay, so it was time for the North.
It was time for the North, and so nature took its course.
I see. However, did the governors also, in spite of being PDP, feel the same way? Do you think there was sabotage against their own candidate? I mean, I've heard that speculation before.
Of course.
It would be nice to hear your say.
Of course, there's no Nigeria that will accept that it was defeated. I said so earlier. It's difficult.
So how has this administration ensured that? Because I'm sure the president of the Federal Republic at the time, Goodluck Jonathan, had the confidence that he could go into an election and had governors. How is this administration ensuring, or rather the president ensuring, that he has a tight relationship with all the governors, the ones that have defected and all of that, has this tight relationship, and that they too do not believe another person should get into the mantle?
Do you know what you do? Look at how the APC as a coalition came up. Also look at how the ADC is coming up. You could see a lot of differences. There was a breakout from the PDP with the governors led by Rotimi Amechi. There was also a a former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, who led his own people out of there. There was a Rochas Okorocha from Abga. There was, in blessed memory, the minister who died from Ebonyi State, also who brought the ANPP. Right? There was an ACN. So all these people was a CPC. All these people all came together. Right? They had governors. As I speak with you today, which coalition do you think? Outside a coalition where people who just finished in 2006, assuming 2007, some who just finished in 2023.
So you do not believe that the coalition that is strengthening the ADC at the moment is formidable? Remember that the likes of Atiku comes with his numbers. He came second during the 2023 elections.
Doctor, listen to me. It could be formidable.
Right.
But what is it to the Nigerian people?
What is it to the Nigerian people?
What is the coalition?
Well, Nigerian people have looked around and seen.
Is it those who are in the law? Those who are in the part of the law? Is it those who are in the executive? Who amongst them that have not served? So what change do you want to bring that you had an opportunity you never did?
That's for the Nigerian people to say.
I am a Nigerian.
However, but we've also recorded seemingly unstructured partnerships and alignments like this that work. We've recorded it in our history as well.
When was that?
Well, who would have thought? There are several, like in state administration, to that level. We've also seen even the alignment of the coalition that made up the APC was at the time. It was a bit shaky, where you looked at the coalition and said, oh, Tinubu, oh, Rochas, oh, and Amechi. It wasn't an alignment that looked like it would be formidable, but here we are today.
No, that thought is yours personally.
Well,
that's what it's, but that's not the result.
This is
that's
politics.
Not the result. That's not the result.
This is politics. But taking us back to youth contributions towards free, fair, and credible elections, and you have mentioned how it's changing. We're seeing youth more aware. But I wanted to also mention one of the reasons that youths get disillusioned by, which is what this trend you people came up with. It's a consensus. So young people want to go for primaries, and the elders of the party call everybody to say, you know what, let this person go instead. Let's not do a proper primaries. Is a consensus, and proper I don't know if it's called these people are not properly compensated, or I don't know what compensation in that instance could be, and you see people not happy about the outcome, and it stifles their opportunity for stiff competitive elections, not to mention an opportunity to serve as well. How do we assure young people, and what can we do so that political parties will not continue in this very dangerous trend that cuts off that healthy competition that democracy is all about?
First is that when you talk about consensus, right? When you talk about consensus, for me, consensus gives opportunity to the elite.
Unfortunately.
Right? It gives opportunity, but at some point, it can also favor the young people.
When does it ever favor the young people?
Yeah, that's why I say it can also favor the young people.
What can we do to get it to favor young people? It could be from
now. It could be from now. Now, if you as a young person say no to that consensus, that consensus won't hold water.
But what is the need for you? I've had conversations with a lot of people who were affected by it. You say no here, it's too late to jump ship to another political party.
You don't need to jump ship.
You now go to court, and it becomes wroth with, because these are the cabals within the party that control almost everything.
The first thing to do is
going against it is like
people have gone against it, they have succeeded.
Like who?
Others have gone against it, they have not succeeded.
Who is the person who? There are a lot of people who have had to shelve their interests and their good intentions to rule their people, and maybe we are missing out in a lot, but because of this consensus.
See, let me tell you, what you don't give in, the authorities won't bind you, the decisions won't bind you.
Right.
So if as a young man you believe that you're weak, and so one of the ways you can catch it is through these elders, and they go in there and change their mind against you, you can't question. But look, I'm telling you, Doctor, in clear terms, that if you get your intent form to run for primaries, and they go for consensus, you say you won't accept the consensus, that consensus won't hold water. It's not an issue of whether the person likes you or not. As you go to the court nullifies that consensus, because the consensus, everybody must
agree.
So when there's no document that you have signed for consensus, that consensus that you're flying, it will fly.
Okay, so
it's not an issue of whether they have the judiciary or they don't have the judiciary. The reality is that it will fly.
Right. And do you have the might to go against your political party? Now, I'm not saying that legally speaking, you don't have
when
an opportunity.
You will.
Yes. So do you have the might to go against your political party when elders, so-called elders of the party, or key stakeholders, that's often the word used, key stakeholders have decided it is a consensus and everybody should align? Do you see young people who, first of all, we have legitimate fundamental issues they face in getting political positions. Funding is a major aspect of it. Support, key stakeholders, political support is a key measure, a component to getting them to achieve political offices. How can you go against people who you were supposed to shield you?
You know, let me tell you. You know, when you're talking about people who are supposed to shield you, right? Any decision taken against you, right, that differentiates you from your right as a citizen, you have a right to challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have a right to, and I believe that the courage to challenge depends on the kind of evidences you have.
Absolutely.
Good. So for me, like I said, any consensus that the young man say he is not part of, you will have to go and do what the law says. It's very simple.
Right.
It's very simple. That has no business to whether you control the judiciary or not. It's like saying white is white, black is black.
Okay, so for people listening to you right now and asking themselves, okay, elections are coming, engagements, consultations, meetings, all sorts of activities are gradually beginning. What position should we take as young people? What should determine our positioning, rather, and how can you properly participate in this civic activity to contribute without the fear of manipulations and all the fears that are often expressed?
You know, I had told you earlier in a private conversation that, you know, as a daughter of Cross River State also.
Proudly so, proudly so. Proudly a daughter of Cross River State.
And then,
I'm not sure why you mentioned it, but I'm proud to be part of
not just Cross River. You're from Central Cross River. Central
Cross River, yes, proudly so.
And the Central Cross River is where you could stay and put the state into two. It's a senatorial district to reckon with. And so at every time, we try to put up representation.
Where are we going with this, Comrade Danubu?
Where are we going to?
Where are we going with this conversation?
No, we're talking about young people.
Right.
Right. So now, you see, in that same area, you find a young man, like I said earlier, who is a bit stable financially. You find another young man, when you go into media, is a bit stable. You find another young man, when you go into youth engagement, is a bit stable.
Right.
So what do you do at that point? You're expected to all come together. Because this is how it is done. You bring your strength, the other person brings his strength, and then where the issue of trust comes, I keep saying it, that no matter the level of distrust I have for you, as long as you belong to my generation, I can assess you.
Oh, really?
Yes, I can. I can assess you. As long as you belong to my generation. You shouldn't be so big enough that I can't assess you when you belong to my generation. I shouldn't feel so shy or shouldn't have the courage to approach you, no matter how tall you are, when you belong to my generation. So,
right.
So therefore, no matter how bad someone is, as long as he belongs to your generation, you can assess him.
You should be able to assess him.
Yes, and then you can also share power.
Right. So we're really running out of time. So my last question would be, why is mobilization like in Cross River State? Because I know that's your forte.
Yes, you know, in Cross River State, we're mobilizing for the next generation, and we're doing that without looking back. And we are comfortable that we will have our way. We believe that in some positions we are going to have changes, right? Particularly in our senatorial district, we will have changes to enable us begin to get young people involved. Another key development we need as a senatorial district.
Absolutely.
You know, and then we are also trying to let young people know the difference between, you know, you go to a place where there's a federal road, and the federal road is bad, they call on the state governor. You know that's wrong.
True.
Yeah, that's wrong. They're supposed to call on those who represent that senatorial district, those who represent that zone. So,
but that's why I was so talking about political awareness. But
so if find the people standing in federal government road and then demanding the sack of a governor, you find some people also standing in the state government road demanding the sack of the president. So there's a lot we need to do as young people in terms of conscientizing people. I say, look, this particular responsibility belongs to this one. This particular responsibility belongs to this one.
So that's what you've been doing.
Yeah, so that when you're electing leaders, you elect leaders according to the challenges you have.
Absolutely.
And the kind of solutions they will bring. Absolutely. So for us in Cross River, we are good to go, and God willing, our governor is not looking back.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We've been discussing with Honorable Dan Obo, Special Advisor on Youth Mobilization to Cross River State Governor. Thank you again for being part of this and the work that you do in ensuring young people are conscientized and aware politically. But this is where we end today's edition of Razep Africa. I've had a wonderful time having this conversation. I hope you too have had. Until next time when we come your way, have yourself a wonderful and great rest of the day.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.